Welcome to the UX Energy Podcast. Here we're joined by Levitt, who's talking about following your passions and getting into UX for the right reasons. UX should not be entered into lightly and certainly shouldn't be done just for the money. Debbie walks us through some of the stories and experiences that she's had that helped her shape her career. Let's have a listen.
A lot of my listeners would be international and would be wanting to kind of get Western jobs or things like that. And so let's cover that in a moment. But even if we think back to the motives here and also this part of gatekeeping, should people actually go into UX? Or let's reframe that. Why shouldn't people go into UX? How do we keep that
not asking enough.
Yeah, exactly. And how do we kind of not safeguard, but how do we ensure the quality of the discipline? What do you mean by that? Isn't that just really exclusive? What is that?
Yeah, so first let me start with a quick story. So for many years of my... sorry, I forgot to turn the sounds off my phone. That was woof, 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 for those enjoying it at home. So for many, many years of my life goal and dream was to be a genetic researcher. Now, I won't bore your listeners with why and what inspired me and the whole story. Get out your violins. But I wanted to be a genetic researcher more than anything on the planet. I went to university as a chemistry major and a pre-med. I did pre-med courses. I did physics with calculus. I did, all these things. And eventually, some ton of bricks just dropped on me out of the sky, and I realized I don't think this is what I want to do with my life. Now, what was that ton of bricks? That was not me figuring out that this was not right for me. I had a summer job in a university hospital where I worked in research labs, because when you think you want a job in something, you try to find somebody who will give you a chance and almost no money and, come and learn stuff. And I was lucky enough to get a very low-paying job in a university hospital, and I did it in the summer. And one year, one of the new doctors who joined the department, I was in the Department of Allergy, Rheumatology, and Clinical Immunology. Great. And one of the doctors who joined, we became friendly, and one day he turns to me and he goes, "You don't want to go into medicine?" My first thought was, how dare you?
The audacity, yeah.
And I was like, how could you, that four-letter words exploding in my head, especially as a New Yorker. And so I was like, I took a breath and I said, how do you know? And he said, I don't think you're going to want to go through medical school. And I said, well, I don't know what medical school is like. And he said, let me tell you what medical school is like. And by the time he was done, I didn't want to go to medical school. And I was like, okay, well then, what are my other options if I want to be a lab researcher? Sorry, Google keeps talking to me. What are my options if I want to be a lab researcher? I guess I get a PhD. He said, if you get a PhD and you end up in a lab, this is what most people's lives look like. You're going to just write grants and beg for money for the rest of your life. He had a picture of a possible outcome that was realistic, that was many people's experiences, not everybody, and it was an outcome I had not thought about or considered. And I was pretty grumpy for, I'd say, weeks, because I was like, how could this be? My whole life has been tuned around this. I've gone to university for this. What do I do now? So in the middle of university, I dropped my science major. I'd been double majoring in chemistry and music, so I finished my degree in music. I am a musician. Yeah. Some people know this. And then all the bricks dropped on me. Like, now what am I going to do and what am I going to be? And I think that this is an important question for everybody to be asking. And, he ultimately said to me, I don't think this is in your heart. He said, I see the way you are about, what we call in America the humanities, music, art, language, communication, psychology. He said, I don't think you want to be in medical school, and I don't think you want to sit in a lab all day. I think you have humanities exploding out of you. And I was very lucky to have a mentor who saw something that I couldn't see. And I was very lucky that I took it to heart and my world crumbled for a little while there. My world crumbled so badly that I was walking across campus one day when I was in university, and an ex-boyfriend I wasn't talking to stopped me, happened to be walking the other way, and stopped me and said, "What's wrong?" Like I was just wearing it, you know? So let's bring that back to UX, and should you go into UX? And I think for many people, they're going to end up with some tough looks in the mirror and some conversations with themselves about what is exploding out of my heart. What do I need to do? And ultimately, I realized that what I'm most driven by is helping people, making things better for people. And anybody who's watched my YouTube show for 3 seconds can tell this about me. I'm not monetizing the YouTube channel. I made $700 last year, so this is certainly not my primary income. I'm doing all of these things to try to help people, raise them up, give them what they need, whatever that looks like. So that's my calling. So when I managed to get into UX, it was a match, because to me, UX is one manifestation of many where I can help people. Some of it's direct, some of it's indirect. You know, someone's going to use something I designed. I want to make sure it makes their life and work better. I was driven to do it when I was barely paid. I was driven to do it when I was at a crappy company. I was driven to do it when it was for a company whose product I would never, ever freaking use. And, you know, we have to remember that now I won't do it at companies where I find the company to be unethical. So there are some industries I refuse to work in, and that's my choice. Facebook for sure. There's a list. You know, there's a short list of things I don't want to work in because either they're very unethical or they're a very bad match to me.